Alrighty, so continuing on with assignment 14.2. 14.2 is a great example of why it is important to read the directions. When I initially went through and I did this, I did not read the directions thoroughly. And going back over it, I saw I would have entered my answers wrong because I wasn't paying close enough attention. So make sure you're paying close enough attention. So using the numbers listed above, a number is randomly selected. So that's referring to the 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5. Those numbers. We select one of those numbers randomly. We replaced it into the group, and then we randomly select it again. We did that 36 times. So X is going to be a number that we select. So it's either going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Let's fill in our probabilities that X happens. So what is the probability I picked a 1? What's the probability I picked a 2, 3, 4, or 5? Out of these 36 trials, we're going to do it 36 times. Now here's the part that I didn't read carefully enough. Round to 3 decimal places. Then we're going to answer our questions. All right, so what is the probability that I get a 1? So based on the 36 trials, you need to ask yourself, how many times did I get a 1 over the number of numbers? So how many times do we get a 1? We got a 1 6 times. And there were I'm sorry, not the number of numbers. That's the theoretical probability. It's not the number of numbers, it's the number of trials. So we got the 1 6 times, and we did that 36 times. Okay? So I'm going to jump ahead. Let's look at the 3. So how many? I'm going to leave these in for you to fill in. And of course, we want to round this to the nearest 3 decimal places. So when I bang that into my calculator, I'm going to get 0.167 when I round to 3 decimal places. The 3, if we look at the 3, I want to know how many 3s did I get. Divide that by the number of trials. So we got a 3 18 times. There were 36 trials. I bang that into my calculator, I'm going to get 0.5. All right. Now, when you answer questions 9, 10, and 11, what I want you to do is, because we're rounding decimals, don't start with the decimals, start with the fractions. So if I want to know what is the probability that I got a number that is 3 or greater, it's equal to 3 or more. So that's going to be the number of 3s, 4s, and 5s over the number of trials. So when you are doing the number 3 or greater, I actually want you to start with the fraction. Don't just add the decimals, because the decimals get rounded. So we got 18 3s plus 1 4 plus 7 5s over 36 trials. All right, so start with the fraction and then round to 3 decimal places. The same applies here. 16 randomly selected full-time Glendale Community College students are selected and are asked how many credit hours they are enrolled in for the next semester. Fill in the probabilities P of X for the following frequency table based on 16 trials. So we are asking 16 students. Round to 3 decimal places, then answer the questions. All right, so let's jump over to this spot. So this is saying how many people took 14 credit hours over the number of people asked, or the trials. So 4 people are taking 14 credit hours, and we talked to 16 people. And when I write that as a decimal, it's going to be 0.25. And I don't need to round it to 3 places because it truncates at 2. All right, so you're going to fill those in for the rest of the probabilities. And if I look at 17, I'll help you with 17. 17 is saying how many people took 15 or more credit hours. It's an equal sign, so it includes 15 or more. So that probability is going to be the number of 15s and 18s, because if you look, it's 15 and 18. Those are the ones that are bigger. Divided by the number of trials. So 10 people, 8 plus 2, out of 16 took 15 or more credit hours. And they want me to write that as a decimal. So when I write that as a decimal, that would be 0.625. Boom. Now you need to use that table up above to answer question 20. I will help you out with this. So based on our results, our experimental results, what we actually looked at, how many 14 credit hour full-time students would you expect if we randomly selected 180 students? I'm going to randomly select 180 students, and I want to know how many of those students are actually 14 hours. So to do that, you are going to do the probability that they were 14 credit hours. You need to find that. And then you are going to multiply that by the number of students interviewed. By the way, this is 180. All right, so you need to find the probability that we were 14 exactly. You're going to use your table for that, and then you're going to multiply it by 180, and that'll be your answer. All right, so if you've got any, go ahead and write this down, get these finished in, and then we'll come back for the rest of the assignment.